If you have turned on the TV to watch the dreadful daily news recently, you will frequently encounter footage of thousands upon thousands of migrants having nowhere to go on this little piece of land called
Lampedusa.
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 Lampedusa. Lampedusa.
Lampedusa is the death of Europe.
So I decided to go there to see for myself what had happened to those migrants, look for a potential solution, and most importantly, talking to the local residents of this southernmost piece of land of European Union about what their opinion is of this disaster. Join me on my journey to this tiny piece of land of Europe's last line of defense and first line of welcome. Welcome to the beautiful island of Lampedusa. Huh, so beautiful, isn't it? This is voted the world's most beautiful beach, but if you are Italian, you are probably quickly retrieving your boxed PTSD medicine. And if you don't know what kind of place where I am right now, well, let me tell you the story about probably the most notorious piece of land here in Italy. The island of Lampedusa is, by no other words, blessed. Since time immemorial, the strip of land in the middle of Mediterranean has been providing everything. From the fish aplenty for the first settlers, to the easy respite during a long sea journey for every Phoenician, Roman, Greek and Berber, all the way to modern tourism boasting its pristine waters. Yeah, but that's why Lampedusa is always called Italy's best hidden secret. Of course, this kind of blessing comes with a curse. A hefty, dark, painful curse. And it is taking place right now, right here. The location of Lampedusa may have produced fish, rest, and sun, but it also produced another thing. In that direction, just 110 kilometers away, is Tunisia, a relatively easy 8 to 9 hours journey away. And starting 30 years ago, the 6,000 residents of this tiny island, the size of only a few kilometers, started seeing something new on those horizons. Migrants, whether they are refugees fleeing the war or persecution, or economic migrants who are just simply fleeing away from poverty, started showing up here on the island. Tens, hundreds, or even thousands crammed into these tiny fishing boats. Yeah, like coming every single day. Yeah, this one just arrived yesterday, and the other one, I think the day before. Yeah, they are showing up literally every day. And yeah, this is the situation that has been going on for the past 30 years. The moment they make landfall on this small piece of land belonging to Italy, it will be able to give them a chance to apply for asylum and perhaps lead to a new life. And for those people, making it to the shores here is literally Valhalla, the next life. So they will do whatever they can to get here, and thus a new industry is born. Human trafficking, or migrant smuggling, whatever you call it. And calling it a vile business is truly the understatement of the century. The greed in this industry makes Big Pharma look like Mother Teresa. Okay, once a person decides to go to Europe, they have to contact one of these smugglers, and thus usually after they have paid for their first leg of the trip, usually between their country of origin to Libya or Tunisia, they have literally become the traffickers' slaves. Women are usually raped repeatedly just because, well, they can and there's no consequences. And any man who dares to even look the wrong way will receive all kinds of torture for days on end. Yeah, this is the consequence of basically operating without any boundaries. And some of these traffickers will also operate as kidnappers, doubling up as, ransom seekers, usually taking little kids so that they can ask their parents for even more money. So these are ridiculously bad people. These are pirates of the land. Even worse, they are pirates between countries. And many immigrants die before even seeing the coast of Libya, let alone Europe here. And to those scums of the earth, do they really give a darn about those people once they have, made their way onto the boat? Of course not. They have already extracted all of their wealth so they are no more used to them. They couldn't even care less if all of these people die in the most painful and gruesome way. And indeed, that is the case. Many boats were not suited for offshore journeys, let alone taking people 1000% over their capacity with all of their luggage. And I mean, look at these conditions. These are all boats captured recently in the past month, I think, from illegal migrants coming over here. Imagine spending like a week with all of the other 120 people on this small boat, just so that, you know, you have a chance of dying on the sea. This is so sad. Nobody should be subjected to this. And they just pile on here. There's at least like 50 of them. And these are just the small ones. The big ones probably already towed off somewhere else. Wow. And since we are here, it is time to address the elephant in the room, or perhaps on the island, the Lampedusa tragedy. On October 3rd, 2013, a fishing boat carrying more than 550 people, mostly Eritreans, were approaching the island from the southwest, over that side from the docks. And just about half a mile offshore, the boat suddenly stopped. The engine stopped functioning. And then the captain's assistant decided to come up with the idea that he wants to light up a piece of rag in order to generate a lot of smoke in order to attract attention. Well, a lot of people quickly thought that this was a fire that is going on in the boat, and they decided to run away to the other side. And that quickly caused the entire boat to capsize. Of the 550 people, more or less, we are not very sure how many people there are, only 155 were rescued, of which 41 are children. And to make this even worse, of the 41 children, only one of them survived with his or her parent. That means just one incident within an hour created 40 orphans. And that is, even until today, one of the most, I think it is the most tragic and the most human lives lost on the migration to Europe in a single incident. And yeah, there's no way that this island will be the same after this. This quiet little port quickly went into headlines, and the area was quickly congregated with all kinds of journalists. The world was never the same. But here's the thing. This is not completely unexpected. Lampedusa has been the heart of human trafficking since the formation of the European Union. Heck, this monument was built in 2008 to commemorate the dozen or so people who have died in the past decade, well, for 2008, during the crossings and all of their tragedies, way before any of the modern 2010 migration waves were even conceived. Heck, if you think about, you know, even more of those incidents, just 8 days after the October 3rd incident, just on October 11th, before all of the bodies from the October 3rd incident could be collected, another ship capsized near the coast of Lampedusa, killing another 30 or so. Now the problem is very, very obvious. It is going to continue as long as people keep coming, and the ships will keep capsizing. And now the question becomes, what do we do about it? Those who have legitimate reasons, such as running away from wars, prosecutions, violence, or repressive regimes, usually are granted the status to stay. Those who are simply here looking for jobs and a better life, or seeking relatives without a proper visa, are usually issued a deportation order. The system is supposed to work this way, but reality is a whole different story. And those people who are supposed to get deported, their deportation orders are never served. So actually, they can just live a normal life in Europe because they can work their jobs under the table, get paid under the table. They never have to file any taxes. They are invisible to the society. And they can buy everything with cash, and then they can even rent houses with illegal landlords. So they can almost live a pseudo middle class life in Europe. And thus, more and more people come, and more people start showing up on this little island. However, before I can tell you what are the solutions proposed, let me show you the second humanitarian disaster that's ongoing here on the island. Once a migrant has made onto the island, they will be detained and sent to the compound behind me I'm not allowed to approach and film, so I have to stay as far away as possible. But you can see there are quite a few fences up there. And inside, the conditions are said to be horrendous. The tiny facility was meant to accommodate at most 800 people if you stretch it very thin. But usually it has well over a few thousand people. Usually are migrants, they are waiting for processing, right? And the lack of space means that many people have to sleep under the scorching sun, like today, or perhaps the hygiene is ridiculously bad as always. And this is made even worse when a riot broke out inside the pseudo jail in 2009 and burned down quite a few facilities. Life inside it is not only not the European life that they are looking for, but also straight up just inhumane. I mean, what can the small Italian island do? And these people have no choice but to be angry. This tiny island is never supposed to handle this many unscheduled visitors who require immediate attention to shelter, to food, and medical assistance. The island is barely big enough to have one small town, and now there has to be another one in the form of an immigration detention center. During the most months since 2012, the island receives more immigrants than the entire population on almost every single month. So calling it overrun is almost an understatement. So of course there is quite a bit of local anger directed towards the land to the south. But what is a possible way out? A lot of the hardliners on the right side of the political spectrum have declared that they want the entire European Union to be closed for migrants other than very, very specific asylum reasons. And all of the resources should be dedicated to deporting and sending these people back to their country of origin. Not only as a way to deal with the backlog of immigrants, but also as a way to deter people from coming in the first place. And thus, nobody would die on the treacherous journey to this tiny piece of land. And yet many realists have proposed what is basically a plus version of what we have these days, which is using all of the money and resources to pay the governments on the other side, such as Tunisia and Libya, to provide the migrants a better quality of life so that they do not want to risk their life and come to the European Union in the first place. If they can establish themselves with safety, food, and other basic necessities, they might eventually want to go back once the crisis back home have subsided. And then we have the idealists, who believe that the entire European Union should have a cohesive and unionized response by welcoming people evenly and allowing them to choose which country they want to settle in. By scrapping the conventional Dublin Protocol, it should allow people to move into Italy but quickly disperse throughout the European Union in order to allow them to apply in asylum in a country of their choosing. And thus, this island will simply be an entryway instead of a bottleneck. However, being an idealist does not solve the issues of people arriving every day and dying every day on the route. But blaming across the aisle is not a solution either, right? It is important to recognize there is not a bad party here. It is not the immigrants' fault for trying to live a life with a future, and it is not the locals' fault for being born on an island where they are being completely outnumbered by people coming in from a completely different island every day, right? It is not the government's fault for trying to make sure everyone is taken care of even after the treacherous voyage, and failing to do so given the lack of resources either on the sea or here on the land. It is just some unfortunate human tragedy composed by the hubris of some sadistic god. No one should be blamed, except maybe those human traffickers who can rot in hell, but even they are just satisfying a demand, as everyone willingly signed onto their boats of doom. Let's look at the bigger picture. The problem is never about Europe, it's about the places where they come from. As long as there is war, famine, conflict, and repressive regimes, people will always have to flee somewhere. And Europe has always been basically a place of light. And this island, a beacon of hope. And for a lot of people, this beacon of hope is worth dying for. And what do the people who live on this little beacon of hope have to say about the situation?
I think that everyone that needs help all around the sea, it must be helped.
Yeah.
No matter where they come from. Then there is a speculation from Italian politicians.
Yeah.
Just talking about things that they don't really know. So you say here, what do you see about immigration? It's a strange thing like the mass media promote, or there is a normal island with no problems about immigration and with a lot of people helping the immigrants. I don't know if you understand what I am meaning, but there is a big speculation from politicians and mass media about what happened here. But here I see just people helping other people, being human, or human being. It's the opposite, but it's the same at the same time.
Yeah, that's correct. I think going around the island for one day, I don't see anything too special. Everyone living their lives, but I can also see people are helping each other. You are helping me.
Maybe it's strange because you see the opposite. People rescued by the sea and people taking a bath or taking sun all around the beach. But all of these people are living their lives.
Yeah.
Who is in search of a better life, who is just on holiday or vacation around the island.
And yet, despite how hospitable and friendly these locals are, they never would have expected what would happen 1 year after I filmed this video. Starting in September of 2023, dozens upon dozens of fishing boats started appearing over the horizons. In merely 2 days, this island and all of its inhabitants had to welcome over 100 times of its normal immigration volume, and quickly put Lampedusa back into the focal point yet again. And I hate to say that I am right, but I am right. Because when I was there in 2022, I could smell the dynamite in the air. This entire island was a powder keg ready to kick. And kick it did. This kind of immigration volume was unprecedented. And no matter which side you stand on, the hardliners, the realists, or the idealists, you have to admit that this island is not capable of handling all of these people arriving at once. And it was likely the result of the earthquake in Morocco, the floods in Libya, and all of the sub-Saharan coup d'etat that had happened throughout this treacherous year. It is evident the current system does not work, and we have to do something about it, and we have to do it fast. But that is my question for you. What do we do?
I'm not here to tell you which idea is correct, and I'm not here to offer you a perfect solution, because I am just merely a visitor, right? It is up to the local people and their politicians as a whole to decide. And perhaps every person in Europe should have more of an say in all of these ideas together, because all of these countries have to act together. I'm just here to offer you a different kind of angle, a different approach maybe to this whole incident. Let you perhaps look at this entire fiasco through someone else's shoes, right? And let you form your own opinion. Should these people across the sea, all the way to the south, be welcomed with open arms? And should we try to do better to make a better, bigger party to welcome them all? Or perhaps we should warn them that anyone who dares to even cross the sea to come over to Lampedusa and any other piece of land shall be sent back promptly without any recourse. Let me know in the comment section down below what is your opinion. And of course, like this video if you have learned something new about today's adventure here in the southernmost piece of land in European Union. And also subscribe if you want to learn more interesting stories from all around the world. Well, as for now, I think I'll just enjoy the beautiful view for a little bit longer.